What if the most profound conversation you will ever have is not with another person, not with a deity in the sky, but with a version of yourself that has already reached the destination? What if the blueprint of your existence, the very architecture of your being, was not a static document written in stone at birth, but a living, breathing dialogue? This is the you that exists at the culmination of all your experiences, the you that has learned every lesson, integrated every shadow, and achieved a state of resonance with the universal whole. It is a form of energetic alignment, a moment when you have become receptive enough to hear the signal being constantly broadcast. Your quantum antenna, your DNA, vibrates in sympathetic resonance with the wisdom of your destination, and reality rearranges itself accordingly. The right person appears, the right book falls off the shelf. You feel an inexplicable urge to turn left instead of right, avoiding a danger you could not have possibly known was there. This is not magic in the superstitious sense. It is the mechanics of a higher physics, a biological function we have been conditioned to ignore. In the quantum realm, time is not a straight river flowing in one direction. It is forbidden by a paradigm of materialism that refuses to acknowledge anything it cannot measure with its current, crude instruments. It is forbidden by a system that profits from your belief that you are a biological accident, a victim of circumstance, adrift in a meaningless cosmos. To accept that you are in constant, intimate communication with your own highest potential is to reclaim your sovereignty. It is to realize that the map and the compass for your journey are not held by any external authority, but are encoded within your very cells. The great work of spiritual awakening, then, is not to build something new, but to cleanse the antenna. It is to purify the vessel, to quiet the noise of the ego and the static of fear, so that the signal can come through, clear and true. This is your birthright, a cosmic inheritance waiting to be claimed. You are not just a collection of genes, you are a receiver for the symphony of your own becoming. It is a vast, interconnected ocean where all points past, present, and future exist simultaneously as potentials. Your future self is not in a distant time, but in a higher dimension of awareness, a vantage point from which the entire terrain of your life is visible at once. From this peak of consciousness, it sends back not commands, but echoes, not instructions, but resonance. It sends whispers on the quantum wind, subtle nudges encoded in intuition, insights that rive in flashes of sudden clarity, and warnings that manifest as that undeniable gut feeling. We have been taught to see our DNA as a fixed script, a biological inheritance that dictates the color of our eyes, the texture of our hair, and our predisposition to the frailties of the flesh. We see it as a historical record, a library of ancestral data looking backward into the mists of time. But this is a profoundly limited, tragically incomplete story. It is the biology of a species that has forgotten its own cosmic nature. This is the story they tell you in textbooks, the one that keeps you anchored in a linear, predictable, and ultimately powerless reality. Now, consider a different truth, a whisper from the realm of what has been deemed forbidden biology. Imagine that the coiled helix within every one of your trillions of cells is not just a passive code, but a shimmering, crystalline antenna, an exquisitely sensitive filament, humming with a silent potential, tuned to a frequency that transcends the simple march of cause and effect. This antenna is not pointed outward to the stars in a search for extraterrestrial intelligence. It is pointed inward and forward into the boundless landscape of your own becoming. It is designed to receive a very specific signal, a stream of information, of wisdom, of guidance broadcast from the most evolved, fully realized, and luminous version of your own consciousness, your future self. This is not a future self in the science fiction sense, a separate entity traveling back through a wormhole. This is the secret behind synchronicity, the force that orchestrates the chance encounters and lucky breaks that alter the course of our lives. It is not random. The forbidden aspect of this knowledge is not born of a shadowy cabal hiding scrolls in a vault. To truly grasp the mechanics of this inner communion, we must first dismantle our most cherished and imprisoning illusion, the concept of linear time. We experience life as a procession of moments, one following the other in an irreversible sequence, like beads on a string. The past is a fixed memory, the future an unwritten void. In the science of complex systems, an attractor is a state towards which a system naturally evolves. The conscious mind, the ego, is a processor of linear data. It analyzes, compares, and calculates based on past experiences and learned information. It is a powerful tool, but it is deaf to the frequencies of the quantum field. The language of your future self is the language of vibration. It speaks through a feeling of expansion in your chest, a sense of rightness that defies logical explanation, a shiver of recognition that runs up your spine, or a deep, quiet knowing in the pit of your stomach. These are the readouts of your biophotonic system. They are moments when the frequency of a potential choice or path vibrates in perfect harmony with the frequency of your attractor self. To learn to trust these subtle signals over the loud, often fearful, shouting of the analytical mind is one of the most crucial skills in this awakening process. It is the shift from thinking your way through life to feeling your way home. It is the art of listening to the body, for the body is the physical instrument through which the music of the soul is played. Your highest, fully realized self is the ultimate spiritual attractor for your timeline. It is the perfected resonance, the final chord in the symphony of your existence, and its gravitational pull is constant, gentle, and relentless. It doesn't shout commands, it pulls. It exerts a subtle but persistent influence on your energy field, drawing you toward experiences, people, and realizations that will bring you into greater alignment with its own state of wholeness. This is why the guidance you receive is rarely about mundane desires, like winning the lottery. The attractor is not interested in validating the ego. It is interested in your evolution. It will pull you toward challenges that forge your spirit, heartbreaks that open your compassion, and silences that allow you to finally hear your own soul. The path it illuminates is not always the easiest, but it is always the one that leads to the most authentic and powerful version of you. This perception, however, is a biological and cognitive construct, a utility of the human mind designed to navigate a three-dimensional world, but it is not the fundamental nature of reality. In the deeper, quantum truth of existence, all moments are one moment. The entire tapestry of your life, every joy, every sorrow, every choice made and unmade exists as a single, holistic pattern within a higher dimensional space. Your future self is not ahead of you on this string of beads. It exists in a state of higher frequency, a perspective from which it can see the entire string at once. It is the mountain peak from which the entire winding path of the river in the valley is visible. The signals it sends are not prophecies of a fixed future, but navigational beacons guiding you along the most graceful, coherent, and love-infused path through the landscape of infinite potential that is already laid out. This brings us to the nature of the antenna itself, the DNA. We have been taught to see it as a chemical ladder, a complex arrangement of base pairs. But this is like describing a masterwork of literature as merely ink on paper. The true function of DNA is energetic, or more specifically, biophotonic. Science is beginning to recognize that living cells emit and absorb light, faint but coherent emissions called biophotons. This is the light of life itself. Your DNA is a master conductor of this light, a liquid crystalline structure that acts as a sophisticated transceiver. It doesn't just passively store information, it actively broadcasts your current state of consciousness, your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs out into the quantum field as a specific frequency of light. Simultaneously, it is capable of receiving light, of absorbing coherent information that matches its resonant potential. It is a biological bridge between the world of matter and the world of light, between mind and energy. When you feel a sudden inexplicable wave of peace or a flash of genius insight, you are experiencing a moment of coherent light, a packet of information from your future self being successfully received and decoded by the biophotonic network of your body. The future self is best understood not as a person, but as a powerful energetic attractor. This guidance system operates not through logic, but through resonance.